Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Um, Happy Coinbase IPO day, I suppose. The rest of the market actually isn't really doing a hell of a lot. And whatever sort of like, it almost felt like the whole market was like, seriously, the whole market was being jacked into this event. I noticed that. The bid in tech stock land literally has evaporated here today. And interestingly enough, the crude oil has been underperforming. And one of the sort of reasons why tech can do better often is because purchasing managers have a choice. Do they spend money on higher energy costs, electricity bills, fuel, all that? If energy prices are low, well, we can direct that money towards technology, i.e., efficiency, improving profit margins. So we had an abnormally weak energy market there over the past few days as stock and risk was moving up, and I was scratching my head, going, "What the heck is going on here?" And mysteriously, lo and behold, as soon as this IPO date has come, energy and oil has jumped up violently here, which is interesting because it might take the wind out of the gold and the metals sales. The problem I have here with the market is, hey, we're all over the map here. I personally prefer to see sort of like, the bond market trending one direction and then, all of risk trending the other, but we're just a mixed bag. And you can kind of see that in our breadth indicator. We are pointing up and things are trying to move higher, but man, we're just choppy, choppy, choppy. Um, Actually, one thing we had from Sjord here recently was he's going to try and develop a 52-week range screener, which would probably help me sort of pinpoint ideas that are more attractive at the bottom ends of ranges a little bit better. So I'm really super looking forward to that. But just looking at our bread sort of dashboard, it's interesting to see how we have a massive disconnect going on here with the industrials now. And maybe we're going to start to see that a little bit, that the technology starts to calm down a little bit. I don't know, tough to say. Transports seem to be catching a bid here along with the commodities. So, like I said, that oil market in a weird sort of way, I'm seeing a lot of like the airline stocks and oil are moving in unison. Doesn't make any sense to me at all, but there seems to be this new sort of Fakezi world. And I think it's simply that, people traveling, airline, right? More demand for, things like unleaded gasoline, right? More better economy. So I get the impression we're sort of living in that kind of world right now, which is dangerous because at some point, if oil does get going in earnest and the transports stop responding, then that's actually flashing a warning sign because that's a Dow theory sell signal. If the industrials keep moving to new highs, but the transports don't, and you can kind of see that a little bit developing right now, that's actually not the best sign. So interesting to see the overall stock market, those sector breadth. Oh, it just looks like a train wreck here right now. So man, very, very mixed messages from the market. I suppose also too that's probably a good commentary on seasonality. There's an old expression. If you're not familiar with this, write it down. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes. And actually, the guy who coined it, his name was Don Valu years and years and years ago. He was Valu. He was from Eastern Canada, Quebec, and the snow doesn't leave in Quebec until like April, May. I mean, very, very late. It's cold there in the winter. So, you might also heard the expression sell in May and walk away. So, the point being that we are now coming into the window where if you did participate in the markets last fall, and bought the W's and stuff that we see in the S&P last fall, well, probably you should be taking some profits into those events. That would be sort of if we just quick boo, right? last September, October, November. That's the buy when it snows window. And here we are into that seasonal topping window. Sell when it goes. Not going to say it's an easy trade, but that is the typical seasonal trade. I've seen a little bit better on the Canadian market. Buy when it snows, buying into that weakness. Sell when it goes into that strength. Um, as it stands right now, Uncle Joe's really trying desperately to push through his economic stimulus package. Hey, I'm a negotiator. Let's negotiate a deal. So it really feels like he wants to get something done, but they publicly said that they're not really thinking about this thing actually passing Congress and legislation until probably middle of the summer. July 4th weekend, I think, is their goal. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out right now, but in essence, to me, this is a risk on proxy, but also to the cases in North America, here in Canada, and locally here in BC, the cases are going through the roof. UK variant, all that kind of stuff. I think some TRI people have come down with it here of late. But the point being that North America feels like it's on the sort of outs right now, and also too, I got the impression that the Johnson and Johnson news there the other day really sort of kicked the confidence out of the North Americans. They kind of were getting a little bit arrogant, a little bit cocky. Hey, Europe sucks. They don't know how to handle this. They don't know how to make a vaccine. Turns out that the Americans' vaccine is exactly the same as the Europeans' one, causing the same problems. Anyway, point being here, there's no real reason for me to do anything here right now. If I had bought and taken profits, I might think about reloading. I'm still in this trade, so just hurry up and do nothing. Interesting to see, actually, we're starting to get little actual oversold signals now. So we're probably closer to some sort of pivot low than we are the top. So with that backdrop, good old US dollar, and actually I think I like to operate off of this chart deck for you. Coming back down into support, and as we said, that momentum chart kind of showing that we're getting a little bit washed out, oversold. Not a big surprise. Probably going to see some back and forth like this now. Maybe it's a big head and shoulders, and boom, we have to go down, fill in the gap, or we W out and continue our way higher. There is the stock market, kind of a doji day here. It's it's caught between kind of a rock and a hard place. Remember, we had said the oil market was abnormally weak there, and we actually had bearish setups working, but the bearish setups just never really fired. And ironically enough, from the first 2 weeks study, this actually should have been very, very strong here. So I got a funny feeling that actually somebody was sitting on this oil market to get that goddamn Coinbase IPO done. I mean, keep in mind, this is like, what is that market cap? $100 billion? Like, me. I mean, just insane amounts of money we're talking about here, folks. So could maybe Goldman Sachs call up their oil trading desk? Remember, we said tech usually gets well bid. I want to make sure the public is super jazzed about tech. Tech is it. Tech is sexy, right? Tech, tech, tech. So they, jazz the tech market up into that Coinbase IPO, which, of course, the only way you're going to really get that to happen is if, like I said earlier, if oil prices are weak and purchasing managers go, man, we could buy tech, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, the day of the IPO, get it done. All right, it's done. It's brought to market. It's done. All of a sudden, they just release the hounds and the oil market just launches back to what it was supposed to be doing all along here. And I got a funny feeling there's some real stinky shenanigans going on in good old capitalism once again. So is this oil market really weak, or is it actually now doing what it's supposed to be doing? It's interesting to watch the bonds. They tried to break out here. Same thing with the gold. Tried to break out here, but was this phony baloney? This wasn't really real. If this oil market takes off here, I would imagine the bonds aren't going to be too happy. And it was interesting to watch how the gold was flirting with breaking out. We had a bunch of gold stocks that were all just, do we want to cup and handle? Do we want to double bottom? Do we really want to break out here? And no, not quite. And everything sort of backed off. And it's interesting to see how they oil stocks that I like to follow and the commodity related stocks like those forestry stocks. Oh my goodness, they are stronger than poop. So I got a funny feeling into the end of this week, you're going to see oil come screaming back here. Well, we'll see how it goes. As you can see from the junior stock market participants, still in sort of cleanup mode. I suppose if this thing can go and W out on the other sides of trend lines, we can get back into orgy mode in junior stock market land, but I don't see it happening today. Which brings us to the event du jour. Good old Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Actually, I like to follow in the stock market now. I have a pretty robust list of assets that I do follow now that are crypto. And it's interesting to see. They started out pretty darn strong. Then, oh my God, what's the Coinbase? What's Coinbase? What's Coinbase? Oh, look at that now, back down to 376 there, Kevin. And you can see that, oh boy, there's a bit of red on this screen now. And I thought this was really interesting. If you see a candle that looks like this, I'm not going to tell you what to think. You come to that conclusion on your own. This is basically an ETF that they created of all of these sort of blockchain stocks. And look at them. They're getting absolutely decimated here. So, longtime viewers of this channel will respect this message that the market is trying to send us here. Now, it's only 11 o'clock. Market still closes in a couple hours. Who knows? Maybe this goes awesome. I don't know. Maybe we get some big late market rally, and everything finishes up at the high end of the range. But I'll say to you that if we do finish this day like this, that is a very, very powerful message that the market is sending me. Let's see. We'll quiz the audience who watches these videos. Do you know what the name of this candle pattern is? You can score brownie points with Brian if you can tell me. So be careful. One thing also, too, that I noticed, and I suppose it's very typical of Wall Street shenanigans, trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. If you didn't understand this sort of the way that they jack private equity up through things like OTC markets into IPOs, you wouldn't understand what's going on here. But it was fascinating. This was done just a few days ago. So I think actually this chart, and I'm sure I posted in the lounge, but what's fascinating, you go on TradingView, you can't get this chart anymore. Poof, it's gone, disappeared. Which is kind of a piss off because this really tells you exactly where you should be thinking about being a buyer. And it's interesting how we banged up against 4.669, 2.618, right up against this sort of $500, $600, $700 area in here. And if you drew fibs off of that, that's this yellow one right in here. You'll see that reload zone should be somewhere around, what is that, about 250 to $300, basically the original bottom in here. And it also makes sense too, good old Mountain Man is that level. And keep in mind, this was drawn off of this high right here. So I don't know whether this is accurate or not. Like I said, I think we went a little bit higher here, but it's very interesting that where is price on this thing right now? Just keep that in mind. $400 is Mountain Man off of teal here. $300 is Mountain Man off of yellow here. So basically $300 to $400 should be an area that we'll probably find some support. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. Original Wyckoff check of the actual bottom. It's all screaming $300 to $400. So we come to the chart, and lo and behold, where's the stock? $371. What a surprise. And now people are going to look at this and go, oh my God, this thing's a piece of shit. It's horrible. Well, is it? Actually, ironically enough, it's actually coming out where it's supposed to be coming out. But this is probably the most important part about this. How is the public's interpretation of this? Keep in mind, remember, we had the chart. I mean, if we look at this chart in reality, it should look something like this, right? Now we're here. But what's the public going to see? they're going to see just this big, ugly red yuck. Interesting thing about this is we often say that usually they bring these things out about twice what they're really worth. So it's fascinating that they opened this thing up at about 380 bucks. So 380 divided by 2, let's say 400 divided by 2. Well, gee whiz, that's what 400 divided by 2, that sounds like 200 bucks. And did we have $200 as an important level here? Well, that's 78.6, and that's actually the original floor of where this thing actually bottomed weeks and weeks and weeks ago. So, ironically enough, if you want to participate in the Coinbase story, I like this sort of $200, $300 area. And, the sad part about it is, those people participating in the stock market, even now, paying 366 bucks, you're probably paying about $150 too much for this thing. The question going forward here is, how is the public sort of digesting this? Are they buying it, or was this just a big pump up to get the damn thing to market, and it turns out there wasn't really any retail demand for this at all? I think, if you want your message, you want your vote, you want your physical evidence of what the actual real market thinks of this deal, there it is. So, like I said, it's 11 o'clock right now. I mean, I don't know where the hell this thing's going to end. You've heard me talk forever about how the price of Bitcoin has just gone up and up and up and up and up, but don't chase, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. Well, maybe now we're going to go through a period where they finally clean this stuff up and just sort of bring some semblance of order back to this space. I don't know. Could this be a sort of buy the rumor, sell the news event window? I think so. And the problem with, crypto here is that, it's insanely volatile. So, like the poop coins, for example. Most people that come to the market here, they're not gonna appreciate that this silly asset just in the middle of February was trading at like 2,500, and in basically 2 months they take it from 2,500 up to the better part of 10,000, a fourfold increase in like 8 weeks. So most people in the public don't understand that this is ridiculous. Assets don't normally go up fourfold in 8 weeks. That's just not normal. So the public, they probably got swept up in the inertia of all of this public event. They're probably long. Probably if we look at the volume, it probably really ramped up through here. And I've shown you charts like the DeFi perp index from last summer. It's the same thing, straight up. And then they just brought it back down into reload zones against things like institutional fingerprints, the original bottoms, reload zones, Collins pump chaser zones. And then you can participate. So that's what I actually think is going on here. It's a bit dangerous, folks. If you're a buy and holder, who cares? You're in, you love crypto, awesome. But these are like these funny little leverage products that new people to trading trade, and they've just got trouble written all over them right now. Like I said, you see a key reversal there. That's like a blockchain ETF. That's dangerous. It's telling you, what, just be damn careful here. As for sort of the medium-term trend, and actually we'll go back to that picture. I really like this idea that, and especially with the way that the market's acting today, if that key reversal fires on those ETFs and we have to go into the closet for a month or two, then that really paints what I would consider that sort of 2012, 2013 scenario, which I like. I like this kind of scenario where, right now we just went through the face rip. If they could clean this up, remember I've said to you before, if we could get like 61.8 pullbacks on things like ETH and stuff, buying opportunity of a lifetime. I don't know whether Bitcoin or ETH, just pull up your respective channels. I would prefer that we did something like this, versus this long, slow grind of death like this. Because it's hard to get in on this trade. It's really easy to get in on these kind of trades through here. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. But long and short of it here, we are into a seasonal window where there should be some sort of consolidation. Exactly where it comes, how it looks, I don't know. But what I'll simply say is consolidations, pullbacks, in my opinion, they are buying opportunities. And that's the way I'm looking at this market. It's not like we're in a bear market. It's just, gee whiz, things have just gone way too far, way too fast. That's all. So, is oil the spoiler? Oil usually is the spoiler for tech. Oil and tech don't mix. They're like oil and water. Oil may be the spoiler to the bond market and the gold market as well. We'll see how it goes. Interesting to see a little bit of heaviness coming in on the stock market here now as well. If the whole damn Fakezi pump was to get this damn Coinbase listing going, then fine, and that is the catalyst that brings the whole market sort of back down into sort of normal. If anything, what we really need to do is just let the dust settle here and just, let's, first of all, for God's sakes, don't chase. But I mean, it's great to see higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market, but just based on this premise, key support, they could easily take these lows out here at 55. I would say key support's all the way down here at 50. You want to hunt pullbacks, see if you can find W's to sneak your way in on this thing. Okay, there ain't no W's right now. If anything, we're playing with a pretty important trend line. If we go an M out here, then I think probably our rally's done for the time being. But let's see how we act in here. I'm not really getting any signals here at all. V-top, big quick dump. Of course, do all those stocks put in that big-ass key reversal sell signal? And if that's the case, then we just have to cool our jets. And probably the best way I'm thinking about this, you can kind of see that the stock market already set the top up in crypto through these futures contracts. There's the corn, big old M already working there. Corn, ETH, M's working. ETH did also have a fundamental event. I think they call it the Berlin upgrade or something along those lines. So that might have been a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of window as well. And the way that I'm interpreting this is Wall Street, buy the rumor. Wall Street goes and puts a top in these assets and says, okay, fine. Wall Street default is buy the rumor, sell the news. Now, let's see, Mr. Market, whether there's really serious demand for this crypto. If there is, then they'll just go and bust these tops. And like I said, you won't see key reversals in all these stocks, and they'll all finish very strong. They're not strong. They're not looking very happy. So my hunch is Wall Street's already getting ready for the pullback. If you want to use gaps as objectives, that looks pretty realistic in there. And my hunch is that's probably like a 50% retracement of just purely that move. So the Bears got the ball right now, no doubt about it. In futures land, the Bears sort of driving the bus here in the short term. And it's beholden on the public to step up and buy all this shit off of them right up top here to keep the game going. I don't know. See, actually, there's one thing that I think Wall Street's not taking into account here, which might just totally screw them over, is I think that the kids, they don't want to play Wall Street's game. They got the adults, the suckers, to come in and 401ks, RSPs, all that kind of crap to buy the market. But if you actually look at the internals of what's going on here, isn't that interesting? DeFi rolled over. DeFi was up earlier this morning. So that's interesting that it's starting to lose its bid. Something that kind of jumped out at me, which I thought was interesting, was we looked at, I think you could make the argument that DeFi perp is sort of like the kids moving off of these exchanges and getting the hell out of sort of legacy nonsense. And shit perp is all the altcoins that are still listed on the exchanges, and it's purely exchange pumps and all that kind of nonsense. Coinbase, right? I mean, that's exactly their world. So interesting what's going on here. The kids sort of said, okay, fine, we'll play your shitcoin, we'll play your Coinbase, market likes you, bid everything up into that. Then on the event news, what letter of the alphabet's coming in there? So it looks to me like the crypto kids are like, fuck you. Great, you got your Coinbase thing. It's ridiculously overvalued. I'll never use your platform. We're heading off to DeFi. See you later. That's old. That's like literally last cycle's conversation. Of course, the Wall Street and the adults that are they don't understand crypto. They're buying last cycle's story. This is actually the new cycle's story, and the crypto kids are already voting with their pocketbooks. I thought that was really interesting. So let's see how it goes. That might be sort of like Legacy's sort of final hurrah there. And what's so funny is stock market, you might see the whole sort of crypto story in the stock market. This goes back into the cupboard. This goes back into sort of our crypto, aficionados. I talk about like Galaxy. What the hell's that, Dave? Dave started out as Farmer Dave, then turned into Astronaut Dave, then went to Intergalactic Dave. Well, enjoying the DeFi landscape. I get the distinct impression we're going to be heading back into that kind of environment. And this stock market, let's see how this finishes. But if it finishes like this, my hunch is the stock market's probably it's done with crypto for the time being. Now, that doesn't mean crypto's over. What it means is we as professionals go back into reload zone hunting. We go back into W hunting, and it might mean that we're buying stuff that even the public can't even participate because they don't understand DeFi at all. So lots of moving parts here, folks. And I get the distinct impression Legacy was jacked into this event. I don't know whether Legacy even really buys this story. I think it was really pumped by Wall Street. They really wanted to get paid. And now, actually, we're going to see whether mom and pop really are interested in crypto at all. And I got a funny feeling they're not. And the real sharks in crypto, they're going to be heading off to like Ubix and stuff like that, buying their posters and playing the market that way. And probably this might even be a great opportunity for us to actually make the official leap out of Legacy and into DeFi in earnest. Yeah, really fascinating few weeks ahead of us here. So, okay, wow, well, there sure was a mouthful. Sure hope you enjoyed that. Never a dull moment. As you can see, I am getting the sort of sell the news kind of message here. And now I think it's probably in all of our best interest just to let the dust settle and let's see what happens here, folks. All right, I think I'll leave the rant at that. Kevin, if you could take us out here, I'd appreciate it. All the best, and bye for now.